We have a theist friend calling us from Turkey. Ahmad in Syria. Thank you for waiting. You're on with Shannon and Matt.
Hey, Ahmad.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What was it you wanted to talk about?
Slavery in Islam. I basically put the topic of the question: slavery in Islam is perfectly logical.
What?
Well, all right. I want to make sure we're clear here, so I'm going to let you go off. Now, I have no expertise in the Quran, but what do you mean that slavery in Islam is logical?
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna explain it, but before I present my argument, I just need you I acknowledge that my argument is only based a particular understanding of Islam. It's a new understanding, but it's an acceptable understanding, and it's gaining ground between Muslims. So. Okay. What I mean by that is,
I'm not going to hold you.
Okay.
I'm not going to hold you responsible for what you say. I'm not going to go up to other Muslims and say, well, this other guy said this.
No.
Just
no. It's a school of thought, but it's a new school of thought. But it's a school of thought,
I just need you to get to the point.
What's the argument?
Yes, I'm gonna. So this new school of thought, it doesn't allow to attack someone, to make a war only in defense. With that being said, my argument is based on this. Since Islam doesn't allow you to make war, only in defense. So if someone attacks a Muslim particular state, if there would be this Muslim state, in that case, you're allowed to take the prisoners as slaves as a punishment.
Oh, okay. I just want to. Before we keep going, I want to make sure that I'm understanding your argument. I'm gonna reword it and tell me if I'm right, and then we can go from there. Because in Islam, you're not allowed, or at least in your understanding of Islam, you are not allowed to make wars. The only way you would be in a war is if you were defending yourself, and because you're defending yourself, therefore somehow several logical leaps. It is now it's okay to take prisoners of war and keep them as slaves because that is deemed somehow an acceptable punishment.
It's actually as
a punishment.
Hang on.
So that others would not attack you in the future.
Hang on. Surah 3350, right?
Yeah.
You're familiar with it, which is what says essentially that made lawful unto thee the wives of them who had paid their dowries, or who has paid their dowries, and those whom thy right hand possesseth of those whom Allah hath given thee as spoils of war. So you think that when a war happens, Allah gives you, the winner, the people who survived the war, to be your slaves.
Yes, like I said, so that others in the future would not dare to attack this Muslim state. So like a punishment.
Okay, so I understand your argument.
That's not what I asked, but okay.
So you're saying it's a deterrent then. That's what you're saying. Exactly. Let's follow through your logic then.
You don't think it's a deterrent that you wiped out a good portion of the people in that, and it's going to take them a while to build, and maybe there's some diplomacy there? I mean, we have learned a lot. It's one thing to say we know better ways to treat prisoners of war and the survivors of war, and we know how this impacts society. But when you say that it's logical within Islam, I don't give a fuck what Allah or Muhammad or anybody else had to say about whether or not you can own people. I'm talking about whether or not it's morally right, not whether it's consistent with what the Quran says, because the Quran's just a stack of papers that nobody should give a fuck about.
It's essentially like might makes right, is what you're saying. You're saying the people attacked us. I'm just going to steel man your argument as best I can because it still doesn't make sense to me. You're saying they, in your scenario that you created, they attacked us. So in a way, to punish them and act as a deterrent, it's okay to keep slaves. It doesn't make sense, because now you're going to have to prove that somehow keeping slaves will act as a deterrent, because psychologically, I would assume that another society, if you keep a whole heaping horde of them as slaves, are probably going to be agitated that you're keeping their brothers and sisters and mothers and daughters and fathers and sons and as slaves. That's not going to act as a deterrent. That would be an agitation agent. So that doesn't make a lot of logical sense to me. And on top of that, you still don't have any moral justification. And I don't even know where you get to the point that it's logical. Your moral justification is they made us mad, so we can do whatever we want.
No. But it's like, killing in general, it's wrong. But if you do it in self-defense, it's perfectly acceptable.
How does one keep a slave in self-defense? Provide your moral justification for the argument you're actually making.
As a deterrent. Well, they came and they attacked us.
So we can keep slaves. Where do you get that's a big logical leap. They came and they attacked us, thus we can do whatever we want. We no longer have to adhere to any specific moral, we don't have to have a robust moral structure, because whatever we deem acceptable as some sort of retributive justice is okay, just because we said so.
No, it's not just because we said so. It's a deterrent.
Provide some justification, because acting as a deterrent isn't a justification, and they started it isn't a justification for keeping slaves. And those are the two that you've provided thus far. Provide an additional one, because those aren't sound.
No, it is sound.
No, it's not.
Like I said, no, as a deterrent, so that other nations will know that if they attack this particular Islamic state,
and you'll keep them as slaves. So you think that that'll be a deterrent? And I've already provided you an explanation of why that isn't an effective deterrent.
Maybe it will encourage several people to join together to completely wipe your backwards ass ideas off the face of the map. That's why we have things like the United Nations. That's why we have things like allies and diplomacy and agreements to work with other nations, so that when backward ass people like you suggest that if somebody attacks them, they just get to be your slaves if you happen to win, well, we can just expunge the planet of immoral things like that. I don't care whether or not you think it's logical. Your book is immoral. Your God is immoral. Your view is immoral. You're sanctioning owning people as property. Why would I care if it's consistent? You know what else is logical? Some of Harry Potter is consistent too, but that doesn't mean I have to follow it or like it or agree with it.
Right. Going around punching people in the face as a deterrent it doesn't make sense. You're acting as a bully and harming people. People are going to take umbrage with that.
The point here.
Somebody's missing the point here.
And it's Ahmad.
In general, I'm saying what?
I'm saying, well, we were discussing who missed the point, and it was you, but go ahead.
I'm saying if you're the attacker, it's same like killing, in general, the killing is wrong.
I'm sorry, Ahmad, but you don't get to simplify war to just the attacker. Very few times has anything that has ever resulted in a war been so simple as to say, these people blatantly attacked us with no provocation. Things are a little more complicated like that. And considering what imams have been teaching people and the amount of violence pushed forward and advocated by followers of Islam around the globe, not all of them, but a good portion of them, I don't think that there's a reason to think that you have a good leg to stand on with regard to being attacked. However, do you not understand that throughout our history with war, we have learned that there are better ways to treat the survivors of war than to make them your slaves? Because the basic human rights of autonomy and the ability to control and govern your life lead to a better world. And so once you've wiped out all the men of fighting age, to put it in biblical and Quranic terms, what's left? Why are you worried about the leftovers coming back to kill you? They can't muster an army for quite a long time.
No. Not all men. And I'm not saying this punishment will go to the attacking state. No, not just the people that came to attack us. You understand?
Just the actual.
I understand. I'm not an idiot. I'm telling you that is fucking immoral too. I'm sorry that you're so
the
backward.
more
I'm
that you're
sorry that you don't
attacking.
understand that we've learned better ways to deal with people than what you're suggesting. Your religion, your God, your holy book is abominable and has poisoned your mind to the point where you are now making excuses for backward ass, antiquated ideas about making people slaves because they attacked you. There are other options, right?
Yeah, you are at a point in your life right now where you felt it necessary to call two people and talk to them about what circumstance would be okay to own another human being.
Yeah.
Like
How sad is
that is where you are in life right now.
How
And
sad
you're
is that?
arguing with us when we say there are no circumstances under which it is acceptable morally, logically, or under any perspective to own another human being. There is no viable justification for that. And you're saying, well, I think there is.
Yeah.
And you think that we don't get it.
Yeah, given what you've called in to defend out of the blue from two people who aren't Muslims, who aren't theists at all, you've called in to say that your particular view of religion allows for owning people as property, and you're okay with this, which means you are now immoral, just like the understanding of your book and your God that you're advocating. You are grossly immoral, and you should be embarrassed that you called in from Turkey to talk to two atheists to tell them why it's okay under your God model to own people as property. I mean, you have been the absolute worst ambassador for Islam that one could hope for when you come in to devalue human beings and their rights and their autonomy, to just say, nope, here's the circumstance under which we can now own you as property. Well, guess what? I don't accept that. I think you're immoral. I think your religion is to blame. And I don't care what your Quran or God or anybody, Allah or anybody else says about owning people's property. Unless they say thou shalt not own people's property, they're wrong, period.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I don't think that, like, do you have any other additional justifications aside from if they started it, then we can do it as retributive justice and it'll somehow act as a deterrent, which I think we've addressed both of those thoroughly. Is there something additional to that, or is this it? I guess that's it.
He's still on the line. Did you have anything else to add, Ahmad? I guess not.
Okay. Well, good talk. I just like, how do you get to the point in your life that you think I really need to explain why slavery is okay in a public forum? Like, how
I don't know. It's a confusing set of circumstances here. I mean, we're just how many times have I talked about slavery? But I tend to talk about it from a biblical standpoint. But the issue with Ahmad, and by the way, it's a technical issue. We've lost our phones for a minute, so you and I get to sit here and converse as friends and thinking people might do on occasion. So I don't want to be, granted, I'm happy to be really difficult on Islam and the Quran and Allah, because fuck all of them. It's a bunch of garbage. But I understand why people like Ahmad think what they think, because it's like, oh, here I was just sitting here doing nothing, and you came and attacked me, and I managed to win. And so because of that, because I'm afraid of you going back and attacking me again, I should be able to do something to make myself safe from that. And then I'm going to make you my slave. The problem with that is that I can see a prisoner of war situation. I can see something closing in on maybe indentured servitude to pay off a debt, provided there are legal guidelines. You go back to, first century Judea. It's not like that if you were a slave, you had somebody you could necessarily go to and ways to present evidence and all this other stuff about how you're being mistreated.
But we have like this progressive societal infrastructure now that we've understood that the outcomes of these sorts of things aren't as cut and dry and as he's presenting them. There is nuance. You can't just say we'll keep these guys as slaves and that'll keep everyone afraid of us so that they won't attack us anymore, because even that doesn't hold true. Right? Like you and I both said, if you're keeping citizens of another society as slaves, that's not a deterrent. That's an agitation agent. That's something that's going to, like, people are
And-
going people aren't going to perceive you as the good guys in that scenario, right? You're going to create more enemies than you deter.
Yeah, like I'm a 14-year-old who stayed home out of the war and was with my mom, and my other members of my family in my my town went and invaded your town. And when it was over, you now have 3 of my brothers who are your slaves. You killed my father, and you're keeping them as slaves so that we don't attack you. I'm like, what the fuck makes you think I'm not going to attack you?
Right.
To
Like,
try to
"Oh,
rescue my brothers.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like you're just creating a reputation at that point of being immoral actors who are going to do reprehensible things. And if that's the type of society that you're creating, you're going to build more enemies. You're not going to deter. That people are going to coalition build at that point in time to it just doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense to me, but
Not only
I
that, but
tried to steel man them as best I can so that people can't can't say, "Oh, well, you're not attacking the best version of the argument." First, I don't think that there actually is a best version of an argument for slavery. I think they're all shit,
Yeah.
but I was trying to make it as strong as I could, and it just still isn't strong. Essentially all he was saying was, "We need people to be afraid of us so they won't attack us again, so it's okay."
Yeah.
Which is bananas.
It is rather unusual. So